Live, trance, and prosper. Hi, I'm Professor David Phillips, and I'd like to welcome you to my home. Yay, home. I have a new tarot deck to show you today. And this particular tarot deck is the Steampunk Clusterphuque Deck. It's a beautiful deck, brand new, and it is dear to my heart. I have wanted this tarot deck for over 40 years. 40 years? That's a really long time, Brian. That's right. In fact, I've wanted it for so long, partly because it never actually existed. This tarot deck right here is brand new. Now, it's based upon some concepts from the science fantasy author Piers Anthony in his novels, the tarot books, which are a trilogy of novels, and the cluster novels. He discusses a unique tarot set that totally blows traditional tarot away. As many of you know, I'm kind of sort of into tarot. I really enjoy the tarot. I used to run Tarot L, which was at the time the largest and most respected academic discussion of tarot. I no longer am involved with that because the servers changed. It became very difficult to run. And be that as it may, but this deck isn't like your traditional 78 card tarot. This is 100 cards. Traditionally, tarot has the Major Arcana, ooh, how cute, and 4 Minor Arcana suits. Our poker cards are descended from those 4 Minor Arcana suits. Now, each of the Minor Arcana, as you know, is associated to a traditional element, earth, air, fire, and water. But the thing about this deck is there are 5 suits, 5 Minor Arcana suits, because it does have earth, air, fire, and water, the traditional correspondences of swords are air, cups, water, wands, fire, coins or pentacles, earth, but it has another suit, and that is the suit of infinities, or limniscates, if you prefer the pronunciation, spirit. And that goes with the alchemical idea of mysterium connectionis, of the traditional elements. There are 5. But also each of those elements corresponds to a state of matter, solid, liquid, gas. Spirit corresponds with plasma. And so I really find this idea very, very appealing. It suits my philosophical interests as well as my ethical constructs. Now, the Major Arcana includes some extra cards as well. So let's take a look at some of the cards, okay? So here's our Major Arcana. Now, the reason I'm so excited about this is, well, for over 40 years, I've wanted this deck of 5 suits and the correspondences being correct. But also, I'm excited about this deck because I'm the architect. I helped design these. Well, I did. I designed the decks. I designed this. I helped put this together. Now, some of the artists, now this deck may not be for everyone, particularly some of the artists involved making this incredibly beautiful art did use generative AI, and specifically Midjourney. And so if you're one of those folks who's like, oh, AI is killing artists, don't get this deck. It's not for you. However, I will say no artists lost their jobs because someone used AI for this. Actually, the deck exists because the AI was available. Because this kind of project, there's no way I would have been able to do this kind of work and afford artists who could do this level of work, and so it wouldn't exist. And so thanks to generative AI, it exists. And if that appeals to you, great. If you're one of the folks who misunderstands what generative AI does, or if you're just philosophically, you don't believe in it, then stay away. However, if that's not a deal breaker for you, some absolutely wonderful things. Let's take a look at the Fool card. Now you'll notice some things here, and that is we have the meanings of the cards, the names of the card. It says folly and then fool underneath. So we have the meaning and then the position of the card. You'll also notice that we have icons here. There are icons for every single card that show the correspondences to the elements, to the suit, and every card has its own individual icon. Well, that was interesting. The cats are being naughty. All right, now, every card has its own correspondences. And when you go through the deck, you'll see that, you'll get that. However, you're not going to be able to read the manual. It doesn't come with a manual. It doesn't even come in a box. It comes shrink wrapped. So you're going to want to get your own bag, tarot bag, nice one. Get a nice one for the deck. It's really a nice deck and that sort of thing. Now, in the Major Arcana, we do have some unique things. The Fool card, as anyone knows, is card 0 in the Major Arcana, but there's also other cards. For instance, we have the Ghost in the Machine, which is a card unique to this construction. Most of the others are there. There are some other decks, other cards in the deck that are new. So if you are an experienced tarot reader, you will go through, you'll make yourself familiar with it, and have some interesting experiences. All the cards are interesting to me. Here's the Chariot, and you see the goddess Freya riding a chariot pulled by giant cats. Yay, Freya! She's one of my favorites. The Major Arcana are mostly European culture. The entire deck is science fiction. The imagery is science fiction. It's steampunk, but it's interplanetary travel, interstellar travel, steampunk for that imagery. I just like that, so I chose that. The Major Arcana is culturally European steampunk, but the thing about the Minor Arcana, every single suit is associated to a different culture. For instance, if we look at the wands, the wands are Indian, so we get a very different feel for the peoples. It's still steampunk, but the culture is Indian, but it fits well. And of course, red for the fire, and so wands becomes Indian. Swords are, of course, Persian. So Indian swords are Persian. Beautiful imagery, though. I mean, that's just absolutely beautiful. And of course, coins. That's the earth. That is African. And some absolutely beautiful figures in the African set. And our cups are Asian. I live in Asia. As many of you know, I live in Taiwan. And so this is Chinese characters, and they're absolutely beautiful. Blue for the water, of course, and the cups. Now, the fifth suit, the fifth element, spirit, they're Amerindian, or American Indian, if you're not familiar with the word Amerindian. And so these beautiful images are Amerindian characters, also with their own distinct cultural constructs and value sets. And so some wonderful things there. And that's the nature of the deck. Obviously, it's a little thick because it is 100 cards rather than the traditional 78, but it's manageable. We specifically chose cardstock that is durable but thin enough so that 100 cards can still shuffle okay. You'll want to play with it, get to know it, and if you enjoy collecting tarot decks, this is an excellent one to have. It is unique. It is just out. No one else has this deck. I will have a link below, as well as on my websites and all that stuff, for where you can get your own copy. But I hope you give it a go and see how you feel about it. If you're not interested, that's okay. Don't do it. Don't get it if you don't want it. But do get it if you do want it. It is incredibly unique. You're not going to find this deck anywhere else. You're not going to find this type of deck anywhere. To my knowledge, no one else has created a deck based upon those ideas. Now, one reason I did not include a manual is simply because I really feel if you want to know more about the structure of the deck and the philosophy behind it, go read Piers Anthony. He's a wonderful writer, and particularly, you don't have to read both the cluster and the tarot series, but at least read the tarot series. And if you don't want to read the whole novels because you're not into sci-fi, silly person that you are, there is an appendices in the tarot trilogy which goes into the deck structure of the what he calls the animation tarot, which is the 100 card structure. This uses that structure, but it's not his deck. This is the Steampunk Clusterphuque deck because it's mine. And my mind goes that way. If the deck is successful, we'll put out others. I already am working on ideas for another tarot because I love tarot. Those bookshelves over there are a good solid half of them are filled with tarot resources and academic works related to the history. The actual history, not the made-up nonsense that you hear from so many tarot readers. But that's it. That's the Sacred Science Fiction Steampunk Clusterphuque Tarot. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you give it a go. You don't have to. I'm not hurt if you don't get it. But be that as it may, this is really unique stuff. I'm genuinely incredibly excited about this. I've been waiting for 40 years, and I was so happy when it came in the mail. The proof edition. This is the first printed copy right here. But you can get your own copy if you want. You don't have to, but I encourage you to. But you don't. That's it. That's the Steampunk Clusterphuque. I hope you enjoyed this video. And thanks for sticking around, and live, trance, and prosper. Bye-bye.